Welcome to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and I have yet another outstanding guest. I've been so blessed to have so many wonderful guests. A friend, Jeff Cantor, the founder of the New Jersey Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Jeff. How are you?
Thank you, Dr. Caldwell. Great to see you again.
Well, it's good to see you, and sometimes I use these shows as a way to connect with people I haven't talked to for in a while. So you're the founder of the Veterans Chamber, but before we talk about that, I always like to find out who you are. Now, where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? And how did you get involved as in the military?
Sure. So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. It was great childhood there, but decided to leave Brooklyn to go to school in Buffalo, New York, part of the SUNY system. So I went to school in Buffalo, and while I was there, I joined the military, ROTC, and at Canisius College, and got commissioned and became an officer in the Army. Did a couple of stints on active duty and spent some time in the reserves and deployed 3 times. And spent ultimately 32 years in the military and retired as a colonel in 2017.
Wow, that's what a great career and just wonderful service. We're blessed to have you. So now, what was your career after that? So after the military, what did you do?
So I did some time in the pharmaceutical industry. I worked in sales management and leadership roles. And then I had advised Governor Murphy on some veterans issues. And when he became governor, he placed me at the to work on veterans economic development. So did that for the state for about a year and realized that really this is going to take a full all hands on deck approach to start the Veterans Chamber of Commerce. So I left the state to work with the chamber.
Well, as you know, I'm executive director of the Fairleigh Dickinson University Rothman Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and we have a family business program, but we also have a Veterans Launching Ventures program, as you know, where for free we help veterans develop businesses and so on. And this year, because of Zoom, we're actually doing a national program this summer. And we were doing research. Okay, let's find out, every state must have a veterans chamber. Let's find out all these, and I realized there are only like 4 or 5 state veteran chambers. And it raised, I have great respect for you. And then I said, wow, it's incredible what Jeff did. Why don't more states have a veterans chamber of commerce? It makes so much sense.
It really does. And I think some of the issues are, there isn't a support network in many states for the formation of a veterans chamber. There needs to be one. There needs to be a veterans chamber in every state and one at the federal level. It's a lot of work to get it up off the ground and running and being successful. NJ Biz just ranked the top chambers in the state of New Jersey. And we've been in business for a little over a year now. We're ranked 11th in the state.
Wow, congratulations. Congratulations. And you've been working hard at this, and I know there's been a lot of pushback. And, people don't, and I'm learning this with family businesses, but with veteran business as well, people just don't realize how hard it is to run a small business, and that the veteran businesses are an important category for the economy. And so one of the things that I remember early on talking to you about things like registering a business, that New Jersey was one of the few states where they forced veterans to actually pay to register a business. Was that true?
Yeah, that's true. New Jersey was one of the very few states. They charged $100 to register, certify the disabled veteran-owned business, but luckily through the advocacy of the Veterans Chamber, we were able to get the state to defer those costs. So it's free for a disabled veteran business to register. It still costs $100 for a veteran business to certify in the state of New Jersey, though.
Well, and so what other hurdles are you finding? What other battles are you fighting on behalf of veterans in the state of New Jersey and nationally?
So actually, it's really interesting that you asked that question, because the real reason why I started the chamber was because of an issue, of a problem that I saw that wasn't getting fixed, that needed full-time attention. So back in 2015, the state of New Jersey passed a 3% set-aside law for disabled veteran-owned businesses. Essentially what it means is that 3% of all contracts in the state of New Jersey are supposed to be set aside for the disabled veteran-owned business community. Before we started the chamber, not $1 had, or no contracts had been awarded to any disabled veteran-owned businesses, and most departments and authorities in the state of New Jersey didn't even know that the law existed. So it took a lot of advocacy and a lot of support. We brought on people. Francisco Cortez is the president of the chamber. He's been working very, very diligently. We have a number of vice presidents that are working diligently. And what we're doing now is really holding the state accountable for enforcing the law to set aside those disabled veteran-owned business set-asides.
Well, I mean, that should be such a no-brainer. But I think all veteran businesses, and I know you're working probably to really say, why don't we have a set aside for all veteran businesses? Do you think there's a possibility of having that?
So right now, I don't see that in the future. Not too many states have a veteran-owned business set aside. Most states do have a disabled veteran business set aside. What we're trying to get passed in the state of New Jersey is a veteran price preference law. It's already been introduced in the state Senate, has passed committee, and was before budget appropriations, but as you know, with COVID-19, everything got put on hold. So the companion bill was just passed in the Assembly. So S 1866 and A 4042 are the bills for the Veterans Price Preference Law that we're trying to get passed.
Interesting. So that's now registering. Now I know, and I have a consulting firm that's registered as a minority business and registered as a women-owned business. Now, is there a New Jersey veteran business certification, or is it is there a particular certification for veteran businesses?
So there is, yeah. So as you just had indicated, there's a minority-owned business, a women-owned business, a small business enterprise, a veteran-owned business, and a disabled veteran-owned business certification in the state.
Excellent. So as you know, and I wrote an article in NJ Biz, the title "Keep the Cash Home," and one of the things that I'm advocating for is this idea of just public, you don't have to force them, but publicly reporting on your website. Every public agency that receives state money, how much they're spending on those certifications: veteran certified businesses, minority certified, women certified businesses, small certified businesses. And in the example in the article, I talk about Camden Public Schools, Jersey City Public Schools, and Newark Public Schools that have a $2.1 billion budget. If they spent just 5% for busing and food service and teacher training, that's $105 million staying in those businesses in New Jersey for 3 school districts. And I know you've supported that, and you've been a big advocate behind the scenes. How do we make that happen? Because it's a no-brainer. It's no additional taxes. It's just keeping the money home in New Jersey. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea, and I would love to see that come to light. So one of the things that we do in the Veterans Chamber, and we're not in this alone, right? You have the African American Chamber of Commerce run by John Harmon. You have the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce run by Carlos Medina and Luis de la Hoz. And we're working together with them because we don't want it just veterans. We want more money to be spent with minorities, more money to be spent with women, more money to be spent with Latinos, and more money to be spent with veterans, because we're not getting our fair share of the economic pie that's available to people in the state. And I know Hester Agadosi, who's the Chief Diversity Officer, was working diligently to try and implement something like that, where there's transparency in the dollar and percent spends for minority and disabled veteran-owned businesses. It's very interesting. You take a look at New York State. New York State has implemented this. They have a 6% goal for disabled veteran-owned businesses. And they also require every single department in the state to have an annual plan on how they plan to meet their 6% goals. And then in that plan, they publish data, percent spends and dollar spends for every single department and authority on how they're doing towards their SDVOB goals. So they take it very, very seriously in New York. We're hoping that New Jersey follows suit and takes it seriously as well.
Well, I mean, my hope is this crisis is really waking people up that this is a small business country, and that anything that we can do to spend money locally is so important for maintaining the economy. In the article, I talk about the cyclical problem of small businesses can't generate the revenue to pay taxes so that the government has money to support small businesses. So you have this cyclical problem. And so the only way to do that is to take money that's going to be spent anyway and make sure that it's spent at home. So now it's amazing that you've been able to make that organization, one of the top chambers in New Jersey. How do you generate revenue?
So a couple of ways. So right now, dues are part of it. So to join the dues, but what we do is to make it easier on veteran businesses to get started, we waive the fees for the first year. The other way we bring in revenue is through sponsorships. People sponsor events. So that's really the main revenue source, are sponsorships and the revenue for membership.
Are you finding that companies are starting to be even more sensitive to the importance of supporting veteran businesses?
I believe so. I think a lot of private sector companies are. You take a look at Johnson & Johnson, for example. They do a wonderful job supporting veteran small businesses. They have a great program. In fact, they have a dedicated person, John Perez, who is the head of their Veteran and Military Affairs Department, who looks solely at supporting the veterans community, including veteran businesses.
Well, see, and that's so important. Francisco Cortez and I sit on this Restart and Recovery Commission with Governor Murphy's commission on the Main Street. And he's had some great comments, and we're really trying to push this idea of supporting veteran businesses. And as you and I have talked, that there should be no resistance. There's some people who are resistant to women in minority business certifications and other things, and those dinosaurs are out there. But nobody can be against veteran supporting veteran businesses. And I did not have the opportunity to serve, but through this, I've really started to see some things, to be honest, Jeff, that alarm me about the veteran world. It seems like we're not treating veterans as well as we should in this country. It just seems that there's so many more services, healthcare, job support and other things. And I know you're trying to do things to improve that. Do you see that it's improving?
We're making granular progress. Right now it's tough because everybody, to your point, everybody loves veterans, right? We all thank them for their service, and we're all thankful that they're here. But the true way to thank a veteran is to hire a veteran, is to procure with a veteran, is to provide economic opportunities for veterans. That's the way to truly support the veterans community, and that's what we're hoping to do, both through legislation and through interaction with the public and private sectors.
Okay, we're going to pick up on that in a minute. We're going to take a short commercial break, and I'll come back with Jeff Cantor, the founder of the New Jersey Veterans Chamber of Commerce.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind-the-scenes footage, previews, and more.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me.
Thanks, Liz.
A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Welcome back to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell. I have Jeff Cantor, the CEO of the New Jersey Veterans Chamber. Thanks again, Jeff. We've had a great conversation at the first part of the show. Now, we were talking about how people can best support veterans, and you were saying that hiring them. Say a little more about that.
So, it's always good to thank a veteran, but the way to truly support them is if you have a big company, what can you do to buy from a veteran business? There are veterans that sell IT equipment, that do cyber security, that do marketing and advertising, that do construction, they do staffing services. There's so many different industries that veterans are a part of. And the best way to really support the veterans community is to say, hey, you know what? If I'm going to buy a new IT network, I'm going to buy it from a veteran business. I need to redo my parking lot, I'm going to hire a veteran business to do it. If I need to come up with a new advertising campaign, a marketing campaign, I need to have a veteran business do that. That's the best way to support veterans.
Now, does the Chamber do any kind of career training, or are there groups that do career training specifically for we know we're both friends with Mike Ferraro, who was just on my show. Are there particular training programs for veterans who may have, been unemployed for a while?
Yeah, so we do help to try and find veterans meaningful employment. In fact, we're working with NJIT right now on a program for pre-apprenticeships for advanced manufacturing to try and help veterans break into that very high lucrative and high paying jobs around the state. I was talking to New Jersey MEP, which is sort of like the go-to for advanced manufacturing in the state of New Jersey, and they have over 200 jobs that go unfilled.
Wow.
Because people don't have the baseline now to get into those high-skilled, high-tech jobs. And now here's an opportunity to move forward and try and do a pre-apprenticeship and then an apprenticeship and then get these really high-paying jobs.
Well, Mike Seitel, who I've had on my show, who runs Norwalt Design, they develop these high-speed machines, who's been very active in manufacturing, was saying that there are actually a lot of jobs. They're having trouble finding people who are really good with their hands. That, a lot of the young people, a lot of the vocational programs used to train young people, but now those vocational or pre-Ivy League programs. And that there are some opportunities for people that are just naturally mechanically gifted. He also has some rocket science jobs as well. But, maybe there's a way that we can kind of connect you with some of those folks, because they are really looking for people who come out of the military who have those kinds of skills. And so I don't know if you've seen people placed in manufacturing firms or organizations like that.
Well, it's interesting. The whole situation that's going on with China right now between COVID-19 and the whole tariff situation. I think many companies are looking at ways to bring manufacturing back to our shores.
Yep.
And there's a great need for people in these advanced manufacturing roles. And it's not manufacturing like we used to think and we used to see on the automated lines. It's not like that anymore. Now it's really high tech. You need to be able to code. You need to be able to work computers, CNC routers. It's really, really high tech. Yep. And people are getting paid a nice amount of money for it.
You're right, and there are going to be more and more of those jobs. But there are also, it was really a learning for me that there actually are a lot of the old style jobs too. In fact, somebody was saying there are 20,000 New Jersey manufacturing jobs openings in New Jersey, believe it or not. And so, but we find, like everything else, there's a disconnect. The information that there's information out there, and that's kind of our role as a university to try to connect with that. And so, one of the things that concerns me a lot is this whole veteran homeless problem. That so many veterans are homeless. A lot of it is because of PTSD and other things. And so, what's your sense of that? I mean, is there any thoughts on what we can do about that veteran homeless problem?
It's a really great question, because I personally think that a lot of the issues as it relates to veteran homelessness is because veterans don't often have a way to produce income. Right. They don't have a way to provide for their families. Mm-hmm. They don't have a way to show their value and net worth because they don't have meaningful employment. I think it comes back to the whole economic piece of it, where if you provide a way forward, if you hire a veteran, if you procure with a veteran, if you offer to buy your equipment and construction needs through a veteran business, mm-hmm. You will do so much to help veterans' homelessness, because if they're economically independent, right. They have a way forward. When they feel destitute, if they feel like there's no hope, that they can't provide for their family or they can't make any money, then there's outcomes to that, negative outcomes. So I think it comes back to economics.
Well, that's a great point. It really is about jobs. It really is about jobs, and so I founded a nonprofit, the Dale Caldwell Foundation, and our focus is really kind of ending systemic poverty. And what we want to do is really work with. The challenge is that so much of the job training has been supply-based job training, that people are paid to train people for jobs that don't exist. And so we're saying, why not go to businesses who need jobs and train people? But part of the challenge is you really have to stay with them on a weekly basis, right? And most programs don't do that. The veterans get a job and they say, okay, you have the job, now you're going to be fine. But you really have to check in with them. Are there any programs that you know of that do that? That they train them, they help them get a job, but really monitor? I don't know that many programs. Are there any that come to mind?
There's very, very few. I think one that comes to mind is a nonprofit called Empower.
Okay.
They repurpose veterans in IT and tech jobs, cyber jobs, and they provide a course of instruction. Then they provide a paid internship, so they're watching them all the time. They're helping them through it, and then they put them in vacancies around around New York and New Jersey, making really, really good money. So that's the only one that I know of offhand.
Okay.
But they're very few and far between. To your point, there definitely is a need there.
Yeah, and that really needs to be funded, because you really need to handhold folks through the process. So let's talk about some of the national. I know that you're focused on New Jersey. There's enough to do with New Jersey, but you said there are a couple of national things you're looking at.
Yeah. So one of the things we're doing right now. So Senator Booker's office has been very, very supportive of the veterans community, and we're working with his staff. Right now, New Jersey gets a lot of money through the U.S. Department of Transportation, mm-hmm. and every time money comes down from the U.S. DOT to the state, a portion of that money has to be spent with DBEs, which are known as disadvantaged business enterprises.
Right.
The issue with that is specifically race and gender based. So veterans do not qualify for any DBE spending.
Interesting.
So we were looking to either get veterans and disabled veterans added to the definition of a DBE, or have a new category where if the money comes down from the U.S., from the federal government to the state, mm-hmm. that a proponent of that money also be spent with disabled veteran businesses or veteran-owned businesses.
Which would be natural. It just makes perfect sense, because again, those are folks that are dealing with disadvantage, just by the very, very nature of it. And so one of the things that we've gone through this crazy COVID crisis, and so many businesses, veteran and others, have been struggling. I know you've been working with some businesses to help them with PPP loans and other things. Tell about that program.
Yeah, so the Economic Development Authority in New Jersey has saw early on that they needed support from diverse communities. So the African American Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, the Veterans Chamber signed a contract with EDA to support businesses, and we support business regardless of veteran status, to help them with their disaster loan applications and the payroll protection program. And it's been working out well. We've been able to outreach to a lot of businesses. Most of them were veteran businesses that we helped out, but there were many non-veteran businesses as well. And so the EIDL, the issue I think with the EIDL loans, which is the Economic Impact Disaster Loans, was that once the business owner submitted the application, they didn't hear anything. So they didn't know if they were approved, if they were going to get any money. So there's a long delay just because of the sheer volume of the number of businesses that were applying for these disaster loans.
Right.
Ultimately, SBA has been able to catch up. The Small Business Administration has been able to catch up with a lot of these loans, and they've started to issue these loans. And the PPP program has been great because 75% of any of that money can be forgiven as a grant, as long as you use it for payroll purposes. So it's really an advantageous program. And the EDA has done really a remarkable job in New Jersey here. They had two phases of support for small businesses. The first one, they had $10 million that they were giving out for $5,000 grants.
Right.
That money was gone within an hour.
Right,
That's
exactly.
the demand
Exactly.
that they saw.
Right.
They realized the demand was so great that they had a phase two just Monday, this past Monday, and they had $45 million worth of additional money to give out to small businesses. The application was not that hard. It was pretty straightforward. So I think the program is going to be working. We'll have yet to see how phase two is going to go, but so far it looks very, very promising.
And I think there's money for those that are watching. There's money still left in the account, so they're accepting applications. That's what Tim Sullivan was saying.
That's exactly right. Now the EIDL loans, right now the only people who can qualify for the disaster loans for SBA are agricultural-based companies. There are still PPP monies available, so you can still apply as long as you have had a payroll. And then, of course, EDA has money available at the local level as well.
Well, we're at the end of the show. The one final thought or really question, is there any way, so people are going to start going back to restaurants soon, they're going to start to go there. Is there any way the chamber could have, and you may have this already, something that restaurants can stick in their window to say, member of the Veterans Chamber of Commerce, so that people who are looking to spend their money can spend it with a veteran business? Do you have something like that already?
We do. We have a badge that we give to members that say that they're a proud member of the Veterans Chamber of Commerce. A nice badge. It says the New Jersey State Veterans Chamber of Commerce on there. So anybody who's wanting to join any restaurant, any type of business, you don't have to be a veteran to join to support the veterans community. You will get that, and you can proudly display it so people know that you are a veteran-friendly business.
With that, so we'll end there, but when you go to restaurants, look for the Veterans Chamber of Commerce symbol. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to continue to work with you out there to try to change the world on behalf of veteran businesses. So take care, and thanks for watching Family Business World. We will see you next week.